Ooh, there you are. Hello, Jan. How you doing?
I'm fine, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing good. This is Jan and Jeff. We're 18 years old. We're almost adults now.
Wow. Oh. Um, so you did find the count then, but anyway, we won't go into
We
that.
won't go into that.
Well,
So,
it's the 18th was yesterday, Waterloo date, and we're going to talk about that.
right.
But Sunday is the 21st, and that's a big day here in
It
France.
is. It's a big date here in France. It's Fête de la Musique.
Yeah, this whole weekend is big because it's a big, huge musical festival that I was here when it first started.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was, oh, what's his name? The Ministre de la
Oh, it's
Culture.
Jack Long.
Yeah, Jacques Lang, the Minister of Culture, started this, festival of music. And for the Summer Celeste, the 21st of June, which is the longest day here, the sun sets at about 10, um, to have music outside for the culture and all different kinds of music. So, and it really took off, and I think other countries are even trying to do it
Yeah,
now.
countries are doing it. And because it's on a Sunday this year, where I live, there are some places that are doing it tonight and tomorrow
Yeah,
night.
yeah, that's what a lot of the villages do now. Is because it's absolutely in every village
It
and
is. It's pretty
town and
amazing.
city. And in Montélimar, it's a town of about, I don't know, 35,000, not counting all the villages around. But, they'll be on one of the squares, some classical music, and down the road there's some Morocco or, these new
Right,
guys that do
right.
this, or there'll be some quartets. I mean, there's just an array, a variety of music for all cultures.
Yeah, no, there is. There is. It
It's
is
really
kind of,
fun.
yeah, there's you have this mix of music, and I think pretty much, well, they try to organize it, but really I know that I had talked to some people that are, well, they're amateur musicians, and they told me that you kind of find out where you want to play, and then you request. And they have schedules, and they give you an area.
Right.
Give you an
Yeah.
area, and you play there. You just play.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. You have a designated area in the town where you play, and the public then just kind of walks through the whole town and degustates, tastes, as we would say,
Right.
or can listen to all the different kinds of music. And it's one of my favorite festivals because I can't think of anything better than live music outside.
Yeah, I know, it's really
I just
great.
love it.
And it's
People
free.
start dancing. It's free. And what I've really noticed that strikes me is that you've got all ages, and
Yeah.
they play till like midnight or 1 o'clock. But even at midnight, you'll see an old couple, in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and you'll see little kids.
Right.
So
Right.
it's for all. It just kind of crosses all generations, and it's just really a fun festival. I've done it in done it. I've been to little villages, and had fun there. And I've been to bigger cities, and it's just a really fun festival.
It is. It is a fun festival. I definitely agree. I definitely
Yeah.
agree.
If anybody's planning a trip to France in June, they definitely want to include the 21st because it's not to be missed. It's just really where you can be anywhere in France, and it's just
Yeah, you could really be
fun.
anywhere, and that is true. That is
Yeah.
true. But getting back, what we were going to talk about yesterday was the 200th anniversary of Waterloo.
Yes, yes. And I saw in the news last night they're doing this big reenactment.
Yes.
Where actually the battle took place, and they're in the cornfields, and the corn's like this high already. It's about a foot high. But you know what? They were interviewing the people that organized it and started. It cost them 40 million euros to
Yeah, I
do
heard
this
about that.
reenactment. That's a lot of money. 40
It's a
million
lot of
euros.
money, I think. I had in-laws that visited the battle site probably 10 or 15 years ago, and they said it was a tourist trap. And I think what they're trying to do, what the local authorities are trying to do is make it better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're trying to make it bigger and better, and this Belgian guy bought this huge farm
Yeah.
with all these buildings, and they're turning it into restaurants and a museum and all of this. So, it is a tourist trap, but tourism is one of France's #1 industries. So,
Right. This is in Belgium, but still,
yeah.
still.
Well, right. But I mean, there's, as long as, people are going to be there, then they really do try and they're turning it into a big thing, because I don't ever remember them talking about Waterloo as much. Of course, it is the 200th anniversary. But Napoleon really messed up on this one. This is where he screwed up completely.
Well, the French kind of have a, they're in the yesterday on the 18th, there was only the ambassador. There was no really high-ranking officials. So there's really kind of an issue with Napoleon and this whole water. It's a defeat. So it's difficult to celebrate a defeat. And
yeah. Well, and it's where he just really lost his. He went downhill.
He went down. Really quickly. But, the what's interesting though is that Napoleon he really modernized France. And one of the things he did, though it actually existed before, was the BAC. He kind of generalized the BAC.
Right. It's a baccalaureate.
The baccalaureate, right, which is basically a test that everybody has to pass to graduate high school in France.
Right. But the baccalaureate, actually, now that my son's been through the system,
right,
this is how I compare it. The baccalaureate would be equivalent to a 2-year, to a junior college degree. It is. It's equivalent to a junior college degree that they get at the age of 17, 18 when they finish high school. And we give our kids another 2 years to actually get this same degree if they go to a junior college. But it's not easy.
It's not easy. And in fact, what's interesting in France, I mean, it kind of says what kind of people they are, is that so if you have these tests, but it's over a couple of days.
Yeah.
And it's actually a series of tests over a couple of days. In fact, it goes through the weekend. So these poor kids.
Yeah.
They do one a day, but the first one is philosophy. And they always, every time when they do it, it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. I think they have 4 hours. It depends. Some majors actually start in the afternoon, but most of the kids start in the morning.
Yeah.
And then they release the questions. These are these are 18. Some of them are 19 or it could be 20. It depends. Some of them could be older. Some of them could be younger too. And I actually wrote down some of the questions. These are philosophical questions.
Yeah.
Right? We're actually on.
You're going to test my intelligence.
I'm going to test. Well, the thing is that you have to. Somebody, when I put this on Facebook, it's really a popular post, and somebody actually wrote down, a French person, explaining how they have to answer it. Basically, so for example, you have a question.
Okay, give me a question.
All right, this is a question. Can you like a work of art without understanding it?
Well, my answer would be yes.
But then what you have to do is you have to write, and I don't know how many words, but you have to write a paper, and you have to either answer yes or no.
Right. Yeah.
And you have to make your point, and that's what it's really about. They don't.
Right. It's expressing yourself and clarifying communication intellectually.
Intellectually, that's what it is. So so can you like a work of art without understanding? You got to be able to write about that, like, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 words. You have 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. That's pretty. And there's another one about art.
Yeah.
Does a work of art always have to make sense?
No.
No, it doesn't.
No.
But then you have now 3,000 words. You have to.
Oh my God.
3,000 words.
Wow. Well, what's interesting is because my son, he didn't do the BAC here. He did. I can't even. It's been quite a while now, so I can't even remember. But when he went back to the States, he did. He went to the junior college, and now he's got and then moved into the university. And he's got a 4-year degree. But they wouldn't. Just so you know this, they would not accept any of his credits here in France. So he had to take all these different, you know, the SATs and, you know, all these different tests in California. But what he had trouble the most with, and don't quote me on this one, I think he was explaining to me that they don't, on the tests here in France, they don't have multiple choice questions. They don't have multiple choice questions. And he had studied so hard in France, but he'd never done a test with multiple questions. And he could not get, he kept failing these tests just miserably, because for some reason he just couldn't, his mind couldn't get around this multiple choice thing. So it's interesting, because it's just, you know, now that he's gone through the system, I've kind of learned different things about the BAC and the high school in the States, and, you know, college in the States versus, you know, here. And but he learned how to study here in France, and which helped him in the States. But certain ways that they test in the United States just really was not at all the way they test people here. And I know that, well, your son's in school here.
Right.
So he probably has a lot of this memorization, dictation.
Yeah, memorization, yeah.
I don't remember having that as a kid.
It's interesting. I met a man many years ago who actually taught in the French. He taught high school in France. And he, you know, you go, well, there is a test. Yes, it's called the CAPES. Basically, it's another examination. France is always based on exams. You have to pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a big thing about France. And he told me that I think he had a 4-year degree in America, and he actually had to get a master's in France before he was qualified to take this test. And he told me that at first he was really angry about that. Yeah. But then he said when he went to school, he started to realize how the French learn and teach. And he said that was useful because because he's a teacher in a French school. So you're kind of teaching in a different way the kids aren't used to. Yeah. You're going to freak the kids out. I mean, which is true. You have different ways of learning and different ways of teaching. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's a very different culture. And I think it's true what you say, though, the different types of questions and the memorization. France is very big into memorization. Yeah, yeah. And, you know, I said it was the, you know, multiple choice test. As I remember, that was it. It might have been a different format that he just, you know, that they do not have here, that they use so much in the States, but that he just was not used to at all, and his way of studying didn't prepare him for that kind of test. And that's why he kept failing. So they really do teach differently. And his father, my ex-husband, it was actually a proviseur of a college and lycée. So like a principal. Yeah, he was principal of a really large school down here. So he was in the education. So he kind of followed Eric really well. And you know, my son really learned how to study here, which really helped him in the States, because studying, I never had good study habits. Did you? No, I didn't. I got my study habits because I went to university when I was older, late 20s, early 30s, and that's when I learned how to study, and that actually if you study, you get a good grade. You know, I graduated from high school by getting credits at the junior college, by taking English credits that I needed, by taking a class on the history of rock and roll. I think that's a good one. I like that. And I think that's where we should maybe end. How's that? Absolutely. I have my high school degree due to that. Due to rock and roll. All right, Jan. Due to rock and roll. Take care. Rock and roll this weekend with the Fête de la Musique. Exactly. We finish up rock and roll with Fête de la Musique. Okay, bye-bye. Absolutely. Have fun, and we'll see you next week. See ya. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao. Bye.